Those who experience them will remember the events of today forever. Each of us will remember where we were when we first heard the news, when we first saw planes crashed into the buildings, when we first were told that our country was under attack. The events of today will be in every American history book from now on, and will change the future of our country. Although we have many unanswered questions at this point, so soon after today's events, I will present a timeline of the day in order to give you a more clear picture of what's happened. At 8 o'clock this morning, American Airlines Flight 11 departed Boston en route to Los Angeles. At 8:14, United Airlines Flight 175 left Boston bound for LA. At 8:21, American Airlines Flight 77 left Washington headed for LA. At 8:42, United Flight 93 took off from Newark, New Jersey, going to San Francisco with 38 passengers and 7 crew members. American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46 this morning. 17 minutes later, United Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower.
Not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
Yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen.
At 9:17, the Federal Aviation Administration canceled all New York flights. All bridges and tunnels were closed off in the city. And at 9:40, the Federal Aviation Administration closed all American airports except military flights for the first time in history. At 9:30 this morning, President George Bush addressed the nation.
President Bush has a statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult moment for America. I, unfortunately, will be going back to Washington after my remarks. Secretary of Rod Page and Lieutenant Governor will take the podium and discuss education. I do want to thank the folks here at Booker Elementary School for their hospitality. Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
At 9:43 a.m., Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon and one of the building's walls collapsed. At 9:59 a.m., with the world watching, the South Tower collapsed in a huge cloud of smoke.
The center is now in full alert. The FBI are extremely concerned that there would be additional attacks. Normally when you have a situation like this, they immediately get on the line with the CIA, the various intelligence agencies, trying to get a sense of who might have been planning something. But right now, the first order of business is to protect against a second attack, third attack. The feeling is normally when you have this kind of situation, there will be more attacks almost immediately.
Let's go to the trade tower again because, John, we now have a... What do we have? We don't...
It looks like a new plume, a new large plume of smoke.
No, it may be that something fell off the building. It may be that...
At 10:10 a.m., the fourth and final plane, United Flight 93, crashed into a field in Somerset County, Pennsylvania. There were no survivors. At 10:29 a.m., the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed, killing and trapping a countless number of people. At 11 a.m., Mayor Giuliani ordered the evacuation of Lower Manhattan and urges city residents to stay at home. At 1:04 p.m., President Bush, speaking from Louisiana Air Base, promised to hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts. At 1:27, a state of emergency is declared in Washington, D.C. At 2:30, the Federal Aviation Administration announced that there will be no commercial flights into or out of the country in at least the next 24 hours. The New York City fire and police departments have worked courageously all day and will continue well into the night. Sadly, I'm sure we've lost many of these brave souls as well. So far, the exact number of casualties is unknown, but estimates are around 3,000. New York City will be picking up the pieces of their city for a long time. The cost of cleanup will no doubt be hundreds of millions of dollars. Thousands of New Yorkers will suffer from the events of today in the form of post-traumatic stress disorder. Flying will never be the same in our country. And in the greater scheme of things, I have no doubt that today's events are the beginning of the United States in the war on terrorism. And at 8:30 this evening, as you all saw, the President of the United States addressed the nation.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong.